She's hoping to use her story to help other people who were once in prison.
So Javier is at the state capitol with the first ever ReFraming Justice Day. Javi, good morning to you.
Good morning indeed, and you see the people gathering right behind me. In about 15 minutes or so, a bipartisan piece of legislation is going to be introduced, HB 2270. And did you know that the state of Arizona is only one of two states across the entire nation where somebody convicted of a serious or violent crime has to spend 85% of their sentence, no matter the program, no matter good behavior, time served, all that, before they're actually up for a release. Well, they're looking to change that, and I want to introduce you right now to Piper Kerman. She is the author of Orange is the New Black, and this has really been a fight that you've been pushing for some time.
It's true. I am delighted to be down here in Arizona. I am so fortunate to be able to go all over this country and work with people who are reframing justice, like today's ReFraming Justice Day at the Capitol. And so it's my privilege and pleasure to be here in Arizona with y'all today and with all these good folks who have assembled to help introduce this bill. House Bill 2270 is a very straightforward bill. It basically creates an earned incentive for people who are incarcerated. Not all people. There are some crimes that are excluded, some people who would not be able to earn the sentence reduction. But many people who are currently in Arizona state prisons, which are incredibly over capacity, would then be able to earn time off their sentence if they do the programming and have good behavior, so that they would be able to return to their families and return to the communities sooner. So right now, as you mentioned, Arizona is one of only two states in the nation that have not fixed these bad laws. Many states put them in place back in the 90s, but almost every state in the union has reformed their laws around this 85% sentencing rule.
There are people out there who say these are serious offenders, these are violent crimes that were committed out there. Why not keep them behind the bars to keep the public safe?
A huge percentage of the people who would actually benefit from this law are not people who have been convicted of violent crimes. They're people who have been convicted of drug offenses, like my own, and I served my time in the federal system, which does require 85% as well. That's actually where this sort of bad policy came from. The federal government imposed it on the states back in the 90s. And there's other people who are serving time not for violent crimes who still have no opportunity to earn an earlier release. And so if you've ever, been to the Perryville Women's Prison, or if anyone knows anyone who's had to be there, they know that many of those women who are filling up that prison and other facilities around Arizona have not been convicted of, the violent crimes that most concern us, but much more ordinary everyday offenses. And yet those folks are all forced to serve 85% of their sentence, no matter how much effort they put into their own rehabilitation. And it's really important to create incentives and to create a sense of hope and a sense of possibility for people to eventually earn forgiveness and return home to their families and their communities. And their families need those folks home.
And this is kind of what they call caught up in the system.
Exactly. I think when we see really harsh sentences imposed on mothers and fathers, we see terrible consequences for those folks' kids. And what Arizonans need to understand is that harsh sentencing is not a good deterrent for crime. Criminologists have really established that harsh sentencing is not really an effective public safety tool. It is purely retribution. And so Arizonans need to think about and decide whether they're okay with that or whether they want more common sense in their criminal justice system. Arizona pays a huge amount of tax dollars to cover the cost of incarceration. And frankly, all around the nation, we see that y'all could do much better. The states that have reduced their state prison populations actually are the states that have simultaneously enjoyed the biggest declines in both violent crime and property crime. So, folks are a little bit like, whoa, really? Reducing state prison populations actually helps reduce crime? but that's been proven true in many other states across the country.
Well, we thank you very much for joining us today. Again, they will introduce this legislation in about 15 minutes or so. Of course, we'll have a complete wrap-up tonight on Good Evening Arizona starting at 4 o'clock and our AZ Family mobile app. We'll send it back to you guys.